All right, welcome. How is everybody today, tonight, this afternoon, this evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world? I am here to help you with your English. We are here to learn English together. I am Joshua Porter. I'm your teacher for this class, English for academic purposes. What is an academic purpose? Well, a lot of people think school, and you're right. But it could also be for a profession. Say you're starting a business or you're in a business and you work internationally and you want to perfect your English. Say you're an American high school student and you just want to brush up on your English or interact with an international community. I get messages from people all over the world, some in the United States, some outside the United States. This class is designed to teach you good North American English so that you can speak well, speak like an Indigenous speaker, someone who grew up in an American or North American English-speaking community. So good to have everybody here. I'm watching the chat. You guys have great conversations before class. One of our students, Plexio, wanted some pronunciation. So sent me a few sentences, and I'm going to go ahead and help him out. Let's see. Number one, he's happier than his wife. His wife isn't as happy as him. So I'm just going to read these for you, and then you can listen to them later, practice pronunciation. I'm going to speak at a native pace, so this is a natural rate of speech that I would speak to my family, my friends. That's what this class is. This is an upper level class. This is a class for students who are comfortable in English conversationally and want to go into a higher level of English. So academics or profession. So please note that if it's too quick, you can always ask me to repeat in the chat, but I like to make you familiar with a native speaker's rate of speech. So, I mean, you see this in movies and television and stuff, but now you get to actually interact with me. Ask me to repeat things, ask me to pronounce things specifically, so I'll read the rest of your sentences for you. This is not soup, by the way. It's just a coffee cup. There's coffee in here. It'd be weird if I was drinking soup right now. It's early in the morning, and that's not custom of American culture. Number two, Spain is hotter than France. France isn't as hot as Spain. Number three, sandwiches are more expensive than drinks. The drinks aren't as expensive as the sandwiches. Number four, David speaks Italian better than Kim. Kim doesn't speak Italian as well as David. Five, I hope this isn't homework that I'm helping you with. Hopefully this is just practice your instructor gave you or something. Number five, Sydney is further from London than Delhi. Delhi isn't as far from London as Sydney is. So there is a difference between farther and further. I should tell you. Farther is a measure of distance. Further is a matter of degree. So an example would be you can travel farther in one day by airplane than you can by car. Further is a matter of degree or aptitude. It's a little more intangible, a little bit more abstract than the very concrete further. So, or farther. Further, with the U, means something less tangible. So an example might be the learning of student group A isn't as further along as student group B. So this might mean the first group, student group A, progressed more rapidly in their learning, in their language acquisition, something like that. So there is a difference between those words, please note. You have a couple more, I'll go through those, and then we're going to go on to class. 7, Claire works harder than Sally. Sally doesn't work as hard as Claire. 8, the traffic at 8:30 is worse than the traffic at 9:30. The traffic at 9:30 isn't as bad as the traffic at 8:30. Number 9, Harry writes more quickly than Paul. Paul doesn't write as quickly as Harry. Number 10, life in the city is more stressful than life in the country. Life in the country isn't as stressful as life in the city. Bonus points if somebody in the chat can tell me living in the city, living in the country. You can put an adjective before the word life. One starts with an R, and it's a country type word. One starts with a U, and it's a city type word. Those are adjectives used to describe types of places people live. Bonus points for you if you can type them in the chat right now. I do have some time at the beginning. I just recited those. You are welcome a ton, and you spelled tone in the chat. Ton is just T-O-N in American English, at least. It's spelled a little bit differently around the world. But I'm happy to help. The reason I'm happy to help, too, is Plexio, you are here in class all the time. I think you show up to every single one of my classes, or almost every single one, and I'm really grateful for you students that show up. Not just you, Plexio, also Rosa, Vinci, French, Leo, Steve, Sarbajit, Nora. There's so many students that Bharat show up every week. Deary, you guys are great, and I love having you in class. And a teacher is nothing without his or her students. So I'm very grateful that you guys are here and want to study and learn with me. Speaking of here, you may wonder exactly where Spokane is. So I brought up this little, I don't know, this is from a tourist site or something. This is Spokane. This is downtown Spokane. I walk down here all the time. Our Apple store and coffee shops. I just thought it'd be kind of cool to show you a little bit of where I live. This is the river where I live. There's a big dam. These are gondolas. I've ridden on them. They're not that cool. They're okay. It's a quick ride, and you just, oh, there's water. I could see it from above also. But people like it. If you show up to the city, come check it out. So today's class, of course, this is August 10th. I'm going to write the date my favorite way because it avoids confusion. Lots of places in the world, they will write the date day month or month day. Day month makes more sense to me because, which is not the North American standard, at least in the United States. We go month, day, year, which is kind of crazy because there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just the way it is. It makes more sense to do the smallest quantifier, day, bigger quantifier, month, and then the largest quantifier, year. That's sequential in my mind. But because we do it different ways in different parts of the world, I prefer to write the dates, number, day, numeric day, like 10, and then the 3-digit, 3-character letter value for the month, AUG for August, SEP for September, etc., and then the year. And I do the full year, 2017. I don't know, it's maybe an arrogance. I believe that maybe one day I'll write something that will last 100 years, and I don't want people to confuse it with 2117. So, hi from Afghanistan, Samir. Good to have you here. Your name looks maybe new, or is this your first class or first or second class? If so, say hi. As always, regular students, please welcome any new students we have. Are you new? Chari's here. Hello. Good to have you. Jory, are you new as well? If so, I'm happy to have you. You guys are great. Hidia, Juliet, hey, from Morocco. Hidia's from Morocco. Awesome. Very cool. I've always wanted to go to Morocco. Asala is here as well. Welcome back. Good to have you here again. Natasha, you've watched the channel for homework, but you missed the streams, and now you're here, live in the stream. Welcome. So good to have you. I really hope everybody that likes this signs up and becomes a subscriber. They've changed the system a little bit. It used to be like $35 a month, and actually I can't remember exactly what it was, but you had access to all these different classes. They've kind of simplified things, so now it's a lot easier. It's just $5 Canadian per month, which if you're in America, the Canadian dollar is really attractive because it's a good value. So it's like $3 American dollars. So $5 Canadian dollars a month. You can subscribe to each of our channels if you want. I think that's so that you can kind of, for the same price, get all of your teachers, all of your classes. We have Sean, which teaches intermediate English. Sean is awesome. He's a cool guy, good drummer too. He plays occasionally in a band. But amazing teacher. He's very knowledgeable and great at educating students. Yes, Sarbajit, I've heard of that song. That's good. Kareem is here as well. He's our newest Smart Live teacher. Great guy, very knowledgeable as well. He teaches up with Sean in Vancouver, Canada. We have the amazing and wonderful Neil, who's as much comic genius as he is English teacher. He's so smart. He's worked for Microsoft. He's worked for Nintendo as video game testers. He has worked for, I think, EA Sports. He knows a lot about a lot, so he's a very knowledgeable guy. And his classes happen on Wednesdays at 14:30 GMT. And then, of course, you have this goofy, dorky guy right here. Don't know. Oh, that way. Don't know anything about him, but I suppose his class might be okay. So you can check us all out. If you want to sign up, the link is smartenglish.com/live/live. It's great. I mean, obviously I like it. I'm a little biased, but watch a few of them if you haven't. If this is your first one, go back and watch some and see if you like it. Okay. Canada and USA are the best places to live, I'm sure. I say this because the border is mainland, very similar culture and opportunities. Unfortunately, I can only dream. Well, keep dreaming, Vinci. You can make it here. Just if you've applied for a visa, and sometimes students will get turned down, apply again. Make sure you have all your documents correct, and just keep trying. You can get a student visa into Canada or the USA if you put everything together and save up and have everything that is asked of you. I've had some students apply for college several times, and it's like on their third time that they finally get it, third or fourth time, which has happened. So just keep trying, okay? Never give up. It's important in anything you strive to do, right? Just don't give up. Keep trying. Hadia likes our live classes. Thank you. I'm glad. I like them too. So let's check out, speaking of classes, my class, English for Academic Purpose. I already took attendance. Everybody's signed in. So good job. And a little recap. We went over deforestation last week. We went over vocabulary building and rephrasing of vocabulary. So we talked about a little bit of grammar and structural preservation in not detracting from the meaning when we paraphrase things. So when you paraphrase something, if you remember from our last class notes, it is so important to not sacrifice intention or meaning. Now, why do I say that? I'm pouring some coffee here, so don't mind me. Why do I say it's important to preserve the intention and the meaning? Well, the meaning of any good piece of writing or spoken English is to convey or to communicate information. And there's always, yes, Carlos, academic English is advanced English, yes. The purpose of language is communication, and the intended communicated message of speaker to listener, it's difficult enough to choose the right words to get your message through. So when someone is paraphrasing or trying to relay information through a third party or medium, which we all do, the medium is either sound, the words we choose to speak, or something more tangible like paper that we choose to write on, or that intangible medium of email, text message, Facebook message, whatever. So those mediums through which we try to convey meaning alone can provide confusion or miscommunication. So we have to try all the harder to make sure if we're paraphrasing somebody's already secondary medium, that we are getting it as accurate as possible. So if we're choosing synonyms, we're not just choosing the first synonym that comes up in a dictionary online. We are mindfully and carefully selecting phrasing and maybe omitting one synonym in lieu of a rephrased passage or rephrased sentence, a portion, a clause that closely holds the original intended meaning. So that's kind of what we went over last class. You can go back and watch our last video and check out more about what I'm trying to explain and doing quite poorly right now. So go back and watch it. It's a little bit better. Zed, yes, I have a cup of coffee waiting for you. Just, swing on by Spokane and pick it up. Carlos, yes, I think I've answered your question. Let's see. Hadiya is new here. Welcome, Hadiya. Everybody please say hello and welcome Hadiya. Let Hadiya know it's a nice place to meet people and practice our English. And I'm going to bring up our lesson today. So we've talked about a lot of different subjects in this class so far. We've talked about, we talked a little bit about sleep cycles. We talked about cloning and stem cells, nerve cells, obesity, poverty, and addiction, and homelessness. So we're going to go over a global warming lesson, and this is going to hopefully introduce a new lesson that I'm going to try to use next week on a similar topic. So we'll talk about that more later. Fikan, is that how I say your name? Fikan has a question. How can we remember vocabulary? So we've talked a little bit about this in previous classes. There's a few different ways to remember vocabulary. If you sign up, if you're a premium subscriber, pay $5 Canadian a month, you can have access to these. Not just exercises, but some of the documents that I'll share with you as well. Somewhere in here, I'll try to track it down and find it. I have a sort of experimental spreadsheet that I was using. Yeah, right here. I think I can share this with you guys. But this is for a STEM class that I was making, and it's a vocabulary builder. So it is it's just a spreadsheet. You could make something like this on your own if you wanted. But it's a way that I've helped students sort of track their vocabulary progress. So there's 20 spaces here, or 24 spaces or something, and there's a space for a definition, a new vocabulary word, and then a little coded list here that's actually using formulas to change the background color of the cells. So when you put a 0, it changes the cell to red. When you put a 1, it changes the cell to green. So the idea, and I have all these different tabs here for each unit, and the idea is, and this number changes as well. So there's 3 words that I know. Now there's, oops, I'm just supposed to use 1s and 0s. There's 2 words that I know. The ones in red, I don't know the definition of yet, but I want to practice them. So the red mark and the 0 just keys me into, oh, I need to learn what the word science means. Science is the knowledge about or study of the natural world based on facts learned through experiments and observation. Maybe I want to change that, redefine it a little bit, simplify it, and just say study of nature, or something like that. Study of nature, natural world, study of the world. And then I think, okay, you know what? I know this. So I can say I learned 3 new words this week. I still need to learn what mathematics means, but I'll come back to it. So then I go on about my day, I study my lessons, add some more words in, come back and review. So the green ones, I want to review. Okay, science. Yep, I know that. Technology, I know that. Engineering. Oh, I know math now. Okay, cool. So I learned 4 new words this week. This is to motivate students and show them their progress, show how much they are learning. And it's also to just kind of keep some sort of self-accountability. At this level of English, in this class, it's advanced English, English for academic purposes, and you should be able to self-motivate at this point. if you, I mean, we all get tired of studying sometimes. It's the truth. Even your teachers have gotten tired of studying. We all need to motivate ourselves, or sometimes have fellow students and peers motivate us to learn a little bit more. Say, oh, did you read the chapter? I liked it. It was really cool. Those little conversations can motivate you to progress and further your learning. Further, not farther, right? So those conversations with your peers, like you have in the chat, I do have tea, Natasha. So tea for Natasha, and then somebody else ordered a coffee. We'll have coffee and tea for everybody. It'd be great. Those sort of motivations help, but you have to self-start. You have to learn how to study yourself, how to want to learn. Intrinsic motivation is what us teachers call it. We want to inspire you to want to learn yourselves, not just tell you, hey, you have to learn this. That's not helpful, really, for a teacher to do. It's better for me to explain to you why I love learning and hopefully help you find a way for you to love learning too. That's, in my mind, what a good teacher should do. So I'll share this with you. If you send me an email, I do want you to send me an email to have me share this with you. But if you send me an email and you say, Josh, I want to try that, I want to use it, send it to joshua.live@smartenglish.com, and I'll share that with you. I'll share the vocabulary builder. You can try it, use it, you can delete it, change it, do whatever you want. We need to do training in vocabulary to be used in an interview. Ooh, I like it. That's cool. We talk a lot about this class being used for academic purposes, but also professional purposes. And maybe you need English for a job that you don't have yet. So let me think about that. Maybe we can do a special lesson coming up for interviews. Will you please send me an email and remind me of that? Send an email here, joshua.live@smartenglish, SMRT. There's no A. You have to graduate the course to get your A. But smartenglish.com. And Smilers, no, I don't. I'm sorry. Bar's closed. I don't have vodka. Only coffee or tea. It's a little early for vodka here. French Leo says, the only way to remember vocabulary is practice again and again like a donkey, or read an article about what you like. Well, that's simply put. What French Leo is talking about is rote memory, R-O-T-E. Rote memorization is memorizing by repeated practice. Practice, right? That's one way to learn, yes. I like visual lexicon. So here's another way to do it, and this is a way that I encourage my students to do it. So what you could do here in the definition, instead of using a lexicographical definition using words, use an image. So mathematics, I think there are images that can remind us all of what math is. Like if I see this, I think math instantaneously. Like I see these symbols, I'm like, oh yeah, this is math. This is what math looks like. So if I see something like this and I'm like, oh, I know exactly what that is, and I'm learning the word in English, all I have to do really is associate this word. Oops. Let me go back here. All I have to do is associate this word with this, this image with this word. So what I'm doing here is, wow, that is way too big. What I'm doing is I'm associating meaning with an image, which there's a lot of research behind it that shows. I'm just going to do a small, let's do size here. Size, let's do icon size. Okay, something like this will work just as well. Here we go. This works for me. When I think math, I think this. I'm doing a terrible job here. You guys can probably do this better than me. But the idea being you can copy an image here instead of a definition. And I don't know exactly why this is not working out well. But build a list. Build a list. I'll try to figure that out, see why it's not. Usually you can just paste in an image into Vocabulary Builder or into an Excel or Google spreadsheet. So should be able to do it. But you can make your own Google document and just math equals this, right? You could do a table in here, you know, just do word, definition, or image. Okay, it's old technique, but it works. I mean, it really does work. Even better is if you could use one of your own images. So you guys may have seen, I used to make silly images for some of my younger students that I taught. Let's see if I can find some. Yeah, so we would teach words like, I don't know, fear, danger, things like that. And sometimes I would make little images like this because there's a lot of words you can associate with this photo. Mostly Josh is a nerdy, dorky dork. But danger, scary, you know, injury, fright, all of these things, break, eat. There's a lot of different images or words that you could associate with this. Yeah, well, kind of infographics. This is one strategy to learn vocabulary words. So we're still on the theme of vocabulary building and learning vocabulary. So, oh, Tule needs attention. What is up? Did I miss a question of yours? Let me go back. Oh, I have tried Turkish coffee. It's good. Let's try to focus on the lesson here, though. Which one is correct? Pair of eyes or pairs of eyes? Both could be correct. I'll give you an example. Here is one pair of eyes, my image, right? This is one pair of eyes. Here are several pairs of eyes. So those are pairs of eyes. So it's plural. When there's more than one person, you say pairs of eyes. So these people here have pairs of eyes. Here's two pairs with the S of eyes. This is Bernard Chan. He drew Deadpool. If you guys like Deadpool, I got to meet him. Cool guy. Signed a poster for me. It's very awesome. But he and I have two, or this photo has two pairs of eyes. I have one pair of eyes, and Bernard has one pair of eyes. So, I don't know. Hopefully that helps. Anyway, other questions. You want to pronounce like me. So, Shivam wants to, Shivam? Is that how I say it? Shivam, hopefully, wants to pronounce words like me. Copy me. A lot of students feel bashful or maybe like it's impolite to try to mimic their teachers. Copy me. Try to sound like me. Record a audio clip of you imitating me. Try to pretend to be me and send it to me. That would crack me up. Copy your teachers. Copy artists like musicians and actors. Try to sound exactly like them if you can, because then your mouth is making the same movements to produce the same sounds. Okay, so it's like muscle memory. The muscles of your mouth producing words that sound like native North American speaker English. It's good to do. So Hadia says, I understand English, but I can't speak it. Tell me what to do for that. You must practice. You must practice out loud and as often as you can. Talk to yourself if you have to at home. If you're alone in your room and you're just, hanging out, talk to yourself. You'll feel a little bit crazy at first, but it helps. And you don't have to feel crazy. You can blame it on me. Say, my teacher told me to do this. It's my homework. I need to talk out loud to hear myself pronounce the words. A lot of students don't think this is true, but if you say the words in your mind, it's not the same as you actually speaking the words and hearing your own voice, hearing yourself speak the words. Even better is if you can record yourself. Use your phone, use your laptop, use your computer, use a tape recorder, whatever you need. But record yourself and listen to it. Listen to yourself and try to fix mistakes that you make. I promise that will help you. Okay. Useful keys to learning new words is to connect it to you, make them meaningful to you. Steve is 100% right. So what I was saying is, if you do include an image here, math, if you can find an image that reminds you of math, like let's say here I was doing math homework. If that was the case, I would want to put this right here instead of that one. And I'd say, oh, I remember doing math. I did math right there. So that would be helpful for me. And it wouldn't be helpful for you if you couldn't associate those two things. So maybe get a friend to use your phone or something and take photos, or you take them yourself, of images that remind you of the meaning of words, and then make a list like this and practice it. Learning to translate new words. After it, you forget it again. So the first key is connecting that meaning to you. Connecting it to something meaningful in your life. The third, or the second thing that you should consider is think about how you're going to use those words, those new words, today, like this day. Don't just learn a word and then think, okay, well, I'll come back to it later. You do have to come back to it later, but use it today. My advice to students, I've had students that try to learn 20 vocabulary words every day. I don't think that's really helpful. I think it's much better to learn 3 words a day, or because you're going to learn words that are associated with that. Learn 3 words a day. Choose a number. That's just an arbitrary number I chose because it's simple and accessible. If you can do this with 5, do it. If you can do it with 10, do it. 10 to 20 is, I feel like, the most you can really build on and retain. And at the end of the week, check yourself. So if you decide to learn 10 words a day, you're learning 70 words a week. 7-0. At the end of the week, if you quiz yourself and of those 70 words you only know 50, stop trying to learn 10 words a day. Try to learn 6 or 5. You have to cut that back. So however many you can retain, that's the number you should study. And you can build after that. You can sort of reassess. But use the words. Use them with your friends. If you have no one to talk to, send me a Facebook message. Look here, I'll put my I'll put my Facebook in the chat. I don't really respond to messages, just so you know, because I get hundreds a day. But I will see it. I mean, I'll see that it's there, and you'll know that you sent it to me. So send a message and say, hey Josh, I'm using this word. I hope I'm using it correctly. Or send me an email. If you send me an email, I will generally be able to respond to that a little bit better. And I'll post this in the chat as well. But you have to tell somebody. Tell your mom, tell your dad, brother, sister, friend, tell your boss. Practice the word on them if you're brave enough. Okay, so interesting. I will check that out, Smilers. How many months to finish and learn English well? It really depends on the student. It does. It depends on your current ability, your motivation to learn, and your strategies for learning. I can help you with learning strategies. Send me an email, I can get you started on it. Okay, Bharat says it's easy to understand. Awesome. French Leo, crack me up every time. Zed says to imitate yourself, maybe. If you're good at English, if you imitate yourself and you're not good at English, that could be harmful. Ezra Nur. Thank you. That's awesome. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these vocabulary words and try to kind of contextualize them for our own life. This is a reading from Unit 9, 9-1A. If you're a subscriber, you can find this lesson and the exercise, global warming. And here's usually where you'll start. Here's a chart that you can fill out also. You have access to this if you're a subscriber. If you're not, you can send me or Zach an email to sign up. Email Zach at smartenglish.com. He can set you up, but this chart's good to fill out too. So you look at the vocabulary words here, you copy and paste into these charts. Either you don't know it, can't use it in a sentence, new word totally to you, or you see the word, you kind of understand it, but can't really give a definition or use it. You try to use the word, but might be using it incorrectly, or I know the word, it's familiar to me, I use it a lot, I can tell you the definition. So you can chunk the words into those categories and then use that as a study guide also. Vinci, I would agree. Vinci says nothing can replace living in an English-speaking country. Of course, first you have to learn a little grammar and vocabulary. Yes and no. That's called immersion. And immersion is when you completely surround yourself with something. In this case, another language, English. And that's the goal of EFL teachers, is to create artificial immersion over in another country. Your teacher will probably give you an American name, North American name, and say, okay, we're only going to use English in the classroom, but as soon as you leave class, you're back in, Spain or Thailand or wherever. And you're right, the best way is to completely surround yourself around it with no other option. So you go to the grocery store, you go out with your friends, you go to the movies, you have to use English to navigate, to get around. That's the best way, I agree. But that's not always available to everybody. So we can sort of create strategies to improve our English even if we're not traveling. But you're right, yes, living with Indigenous North American English speakers is the best way to do it. Ezra, okay, Ezra. Good to have you in class. Living in London. Tulay, a lot of students that learn English in London will call people dear. Oh, I'm living in London, dear. Don't do that. It's weird. In America, in North America, Canada or the United States, nobody calls anybody dear, except maybe a grandmother, like a very elderly person that wants to, pat a child's head. They'll be like, oh, hi, dear, how are you? So it's not a common thing to use. And I want everybody in this class to sound like common English speakers. So I understand you're being nice and polite, and thank you. But I have to teach you and show you that that's not what someone using English in North America would say. So just so you know. If you have more questions, please ask me. I'm happy to explain further. But that's good. If you lived in England, you probably have a bigger vocabulary. That's fantastic. I tried to learn 10 words in a day, but I couldn't. So they asked for advice to memorize 3 words. But even with 3 words, I couldn't come up with it. Okay, so stay with 3 words, Zed. But do something a little bit different. With those 3 words, try to choose an image, something that reminds you of math or whatever your word is. Choose an image and save that somewhere, and look at it with the definition, and then use each of those 3 words at least 5 times in 5 different situations. So think about it. 3 words, you're using each word 5 times. So 5, 10, 15. So 15 times in a day, you're doing something with those words. Maybe you're going on Facebook and you're messaging a friend. You're saying, hi, I like math, whatever. Maybe you are writing an essay and you choose to use one of those words. Try to test it out. You can call a friend and say, hey, what's up? I just learned the word math. It means blah, blah, blah. And mark those down. Each time you use the word, put a little mark next to it and tell yourself, okay, this word, math, I've used it 1 time. All right, put a little X there. Okay, I used it again. I used it again. I used it again. Okay, I've used it 5 times in 5 different situations. I called somebody, I sent a message, I sent a text message, I wrote it in my paper, and I talked to my friend about it. So if you do that, if you apply it, you use it in your life, I think you will remember it. So try it again, Zed, and then get back to me. Talk to us next week. Do it this week. Talk to us next week in the chat and tell us if it worked. Let's try it out together. Indigenous. Yes, Steve. Do you know that word? Is it a new one? Hidia is living in an Arabic-speaking country. Try to make friends that speak English. And if you can't, make friends here. I'm sure people here would be happy to, message with you, share their Facebook. I think a lot of people have become friends in this classroom, which is super cool. That's how I met a lot of my friends in college classes. Smilers in Russia. Yeah, there are people in Russia that speak English, though. Try to find friends. Look and see if you can join a group, a study group. If the university is in your area, even if you're not going to university, sometimes they will have clubs and groups that you can join without having to go to the university. I don't know for sure. That's the case in the United States, but let me know. Do I speak Arabic? Not really. I know a few Arabic words because I've worked with Arabic-speaking students for years and years. I can say like "Bilal اتكلم إنجليزي." Really? Please speak English is what I think that roughly translates to. Because a lot of my students would be speaking Arabic and I would have to speak Arabic to get them to speak English. But no, I don't really speak Arabic much. What are the better ways to practice English? We talked about a few strategies earlier. We'll come up with some more and we'll talk even more next class. If you have the opportunity to speak with native English speakers, they can correct your mistakes. Yes, that's another good strategy. And French Leo, thank you for reminding me. We can make a little list of some of our strategy and speaking strategy. So, 1, we have practice new words. 5, I'm just going to say 5, but as much as you can, times per day in different situations. 2, pair new words with personal experience. Or an image makes sense to you. Okay, so an image that makes sense to you means something that you will associate the correct meaning with. This is going to change contextually, culturally, sociologically. We all come from different experiences, so this image might represent mathematics to me. Maybe it represents something else to you. Find something that works for you. I mean, if this little penguin represents math for you, then if that helps you learn what the word means, great. If it works, great. So find something that works for you. What French Leo reminded me of is when you speak to someone that has a higher level English than you, a lot of times people are polite, they're nice, and they won't really want to correct your mistakes unless you ask them and let them know it's okay. So for my students, I didn't even wait for them to ask. I would just correct them and correct them and correct them. But I'm a teacher, and that's my job. Other people are not teachers. They don't know that you might want that. So they may try to be polite and just let you make mistakes because they understand what you mean. So if I walk into a restaurant and I'm a new English speaker and I say, "Me, coffee, please," they're going to know what I mean, right? I would like a coffee, please. But they're not going to correct me because it's a restaurant and their job is to serve me. I'm their guest. And so it would not be common for someone who works at the restaurant to say, "Oh, you mean I would like a coffee, please." They're not going to correct you. At least in my culture, in American culture. They're probably not going to say that. They're going to say, "Oh, sure, I'll get a coffee for you. Absolutely. See you in a minute." But if you ask them, if you say, "I learn English, please fix mistake," and you let them know that your English is improving and that all of you probably have higher level English than the examples I'm giving. But the important part is to let someone know that you want feedback, you want constructive criticism to point out your mistakes so that you can improve them. So you can say to someone, "Hey, I am learning English. Can you please fix my mistakes? Or can you please let me know when I make a mistake? Or if I'm not using a word correctly, can you please let me know if I make a mistake?" That's a pretty easy way to communicate that. So when you're interacting with someone, if it's in a group, maybe you play football or you have some creative group, an artist group or something, and some of you speak English, you could say, "Hey, for everybody, can you please correct me if you notice a mistake I make?" And then it's important to know that other people make mistakes too. So they might tell you you're doing something wrong. You can check with me and I'll let you know if it's truly wrong or not. But thank you, French Leo. So ask people to help correct your English. And in parentheses here, I'm just going to say, it is not, I'll zoom in a little bit so you can read what I'm typing, common for someone to correct you unless you ask. Okay? It's really important. It's not common for someone to correct you unless you ask because it's not polite. It's rude. So most people don't do it. Okay. Someone asked about the word indeed. I think French Leo got it. "I like joking, indeed, but I cannot be so serious sometimes when I order a pizza." Yeah, indeed basically means it's a word that we use to agree with someone. It's an affirmative. It's like saying yes, indeed. What is the better way to practice in English? There's a lot of ways to practice. Said is a new student here. Welcome, Said. Good to have you. Ezra lives in Istanbul. Awesome. Very cool. Okay. And we have some biochemists. Awesome. All right. Let's see. Just making sure that I don't miss anybody's comments. You can read newspapers. That's also good advice. Steve says, "I do not know the meaning of Indigenous. I've heard it several times. Does it have a positive meaning? The sound." Yes. Yes, it does have a positive meaning. Indigenous just means something that is local. Local would be a synonym probably. Something that originates from a location where the speaker is, right? Or sometimes we can say indigenous to. So, for example, bison are indigenous to the continental United States. They're mistakenly called buffalo because they resemble buffalo that are a creature called buffalo that are indigenous to Africa and parts of Asia. So it means this animal originates in Asia. It is indigenous to Asia. It was introduced, or if it's introduced somewhere else, it's not indigenous, a non-indigenous creature. Elephants are not indigenous to North America. We used to have mammoths, but they're extinct. They were like furry elephants. But they're not indigenous. The modern elephant, Asian elephant, is not indigenous to America. It's indigenous to Asia, hence the name Asian elephant. English is not an indigenous language in North America. It's indigenous to England, right? But when I say it, of course, I'm talking about contemporary English speakers. Basically, everybody in the United States and Canada speak English, or French or Spanish or whatever else, but the language was introduced. But yeah, I'm talking about people who live in America when I say indigenous speakers. Okay, the role of the teacher is to guide you. Yes, Rosa, I would agree. Let's see. Krebs cycle, biochemistry. Yes. I love that we talk about so many random things in here. It's great. Heaps of bison can be found in Yellowstone National Park. Yes, Steve, you are right. Yellowstone is beautiful. Saeed asks or says, I can speak English well, but I can't well, so how can I be better? I'm not sure I understand what you mean, Saeed. Ethan says, are you a Mariners fan? Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge sports fan. I like baseball. I like hockey. I like football. I like American football sometimes. But yeah, I'd say I'm a Mariners fan. I like way back when there was like Ken Griffey Jr. and all those guys. Bulgarians. Okay. Let's see. What should I do every time I write an essay? Most of my sentences are not coherent or do not flow. There are some great videos. This is the Fairy Flower. It's a very flowery name. Fairy Flower. We have some great videos on cohesion. Sean has some great videos on cohesion. I think I can find them pretty easily for you here. If you go to YouTube and you search, this is kind of funny, right? We're on YouTube, searching YouTube. Smrt Live, cohesion, coherence and cohesion.
Hi.
So here's a great video by Sean. I'll post it in the chat. This can really help you improve your cohesion among your paragraphs. So check this one out. You can do a little more searching. If this isn't what you're looking for, though, send me an email, and I will be happy to. I'll be happy to guide you a little more. Trying not to mix languages. Yeah, and we do mix languages. English is a mix of language. It comes from German, and we've borrowed a lot of words from French. So there's a lot of mixture there. We borrow words from Japanese, from many, many languages. Okay. Let's see. Fairy Flower. It's not weird. It's a very traditionally girly name. I'm guessing you're a girl. It's a very girlish name. It's sweet though. It's nice. I like it. It's not weird. Let's see. Spanish and Portuguese. Where was Sean last Friday? I don't know where Sean was. But he has a ton of great videos. So if you're missing some Sean, just go back and watch some of his older videos. They're great. He has some that are in Smrt, actually. If you're a subscriber, you should be able to access some of those. Oh, he went on vacation. Okay. So we've gone through pretty much the whole class, and we haven't got to learn new vocabulary words. So let's look at a couple before we go, okay? So, I'm just going to choose some at random here. Back off just a little bit, and we'll talk about some vocab. Sean is in the mountains with bears. I hope Sean does not run into a bear. That would be scary. Let's talk about habitat. So what does habitat mean? I'd like you to answer me in the chat. This word, habitat. I'm going to paste it in our notes. What is related to climate change? Okay. Habitat. What does habitat mean? Tell me in the chat. What do you think the word habitat means? And as you're telling me in the chat, I'm going to post a couple new words. Let's talk about, exacerbating. Exacerbating. That is a 10-penny word. That is a word that, American high school students would be really proud of knowing. Exacerbating. Organic is a good word, very common. Good word to learn. So let's learn that. Let's also learn... I've been using the word glacial a lot, and Sean might be using the word glacial right now if he's out camping. So let's talk about these words. And we'll limit it to those for now. Habitat is the home of an animal or species, JB says. Melinda says, where animals live. Tule says, about ecosystem. Chari says, the place where animals live. French word, habitation. I think we use that in English too. Probably stole it from you guys. Asala says, special homeland. I like all these. Area or region where animals and plants live. Steve, I said 10-penny word. It's kind of a joke. Like, a 10-penny nail is a big long nail. It's expensive. Some people might say $10 word, $1 million word. It's just a valuable word. So I'm joking about the value of the word. If you know the word exacerbating, it's your vocabulary is high. You know a lot of words. Environment of an animal. Good, you guys are jumping into the other ones already too. Exacerbate, to make something worse. JB, yep. Organic, untouched, unmodified, original. Yeah, so let's start writing these down. Habitat. I like environment, or place where life exists. Okay? Habitat. It's a place where life exists. So, yeah, a simpler way of putting that is where animals live, or where plants and live. And this is including human beings. I include human beings as an animal. We are animals, right? We have all the same characteristics of a chimpanzee or a tortoise. They have lungs, they breathe air, etc., etc. Okay, so where animals live. Exacerbating, yeah, to make something worse. I think that's the easiest definition. To make something worse, or to increase something in magnitude. It has a negative meaning, so you exacerbate a situation, is a collocation. They exacerbated the situation. They made the situation worse. Vinci, not exactly trying to use the word exacerbate. The problem is not in the schizophrenia, but in his exacerbating. Maybe that sentence could work. We'd have to look at it a little closer in context. Zed says, I'm not an animal. I'm an animal. I consider myself an animal. Humans are the most dangerous animal, the most arrogant animal. Okay, organic is something natural without being modified. I like that too. Natural and unmodified. Okay, something organic happens from nature without human intervention. Exacerbating, just thinking of tech related. Yes, French Leo, that is a good example and one that I don't really want to get into in the chat, but yep, you understand the word. Glacial, what does glacial mean? Somebody has not chimed in with glacial. Tulase is natural, no chemical substance. Be careful, because chemicals are organic. The universe is mostly made of hydrogen, right? So it's the most common organic material out there. Chemicals are organic, but they occur naturally. We can create chemicals. Humans can intervene and make change and produce chemicals. But the word chemical actually just means any substance that... Actually, the word chemical is very hard to define, but we know the periodic table of elements, right? So the periodic table of elements is a mixture of things that occur naturally. Magnesium occurs naturally. Helium, hydrogen. These things are present in our universe, in our world. Iron, Fe, I think is iron. Au is gold, wherever that is. Na, magnesium, I think. Potassium and magnesium. No, potassium is K. It's been a while since chemistry class. I'm an English teacher, remember? So these elements, they do occur naturally, many of them. But we can produce them artificially as well. So, yes and no. Glacial, low in temperature, kind of comes from ice. Glacial is an adjective that refers to a glacier. Fe is iron. You were right. Yes, Asala, they are organic. Chemicals can be organic. Let's look at examples here. I'll show you. So let's see if we can find some naturally occurring chemicals. Okay. Let's look at... Okay, well, plants, I guess. That's... Or our own brain chemistry. So, serotonin, that's a neurotransmitter, right? Serotonin is a chemical found in our own brains. Our brains produce them. They produce them naturally. It can be artificially produced as well, but it's found in nature. Plants have naturally occurring chemicals. An example might be iron or potassium. So bananas, right? When I think of potassium, I think of bananas. They contain chemicals. There are chemicals in naturally occurring substances. So bananas also have a certain amount of radioactivity. This occurs naturally, and it's not really harmful in the present quantities. So, yeah, organic is like no artificial substances. That might be a good way to describe it. Okay, so glacial, back to glacial. A glacier is essentially a mountain of ice. These occur in the northern parts of the world, in the southern parts of the world, where the temperature is very, very cold. So a glacier, there's a national park in America called Glacier National Park. And glaciers are immense, huge mountains of ice. So a mountain is made of stone or rock. A glacier is made of ice, so it's like a mountain of ice. So there's a few things, or a few ways we use glacier. We can use glacier to mean what it is and say, oh, it's glacial. And sometimes we'll use this as slang to mean cold. But glaciers move. And they're moving rapidly in these times of climate change because of the greenhouse effect. They're melting and they're retreating. So glaciers move, but they move very slowly. They're moving more rapidly now, but we're still talking about inches or meters per year. They're not moving rapidly. And I'm not a geologist. I'm not a climatologist or someone who studies this type of environment. But we use it in slang, or even you could use it academically to mean something that moves slowly. You could say the bureaucracy of the government or the bureaucracy of the organization moved glacially as they tried to pass new policy. A sentence like that would be using the word glacial to mean slow movement. So that's one way we can use it. Human organized different form. Zed, that's not a correct sentence grammatically. Vency, awesome Carl Sagan reference. I'm a big Carl Sagan fan, so good job. Very cool. All right, so we are just about out of time. Any other questions before I go? I want to go back and make sure I'm checking the chat. Alaska, the poles. Yep. Let's see. Josh, I consider you as a human. I don't know what that sentence means, Tile. I consider you as a human. Let me know what you mean by that sentence. I'll try to help you, but it doesn't quite work yet. Okay. Yeah, glacial comes from French. Rosa's right. Yes. La glace. Similar origins. Ice cream. French Leo says they use glacier in French also. Okay. Hi from Argentina, Anna. Good to have you. Anna Sistero. Glad you're here. Argentina. I've always wanted to go to Argentina. I did a project on Argentina when I was in the 4th grade. I thought it was the coolest country ever. Now I think all countries are the coolest countries ever. But very, very cool. All right. So I think we're just kind of chatting about different things that we like and we're into. We had a great class today. We didn't really get to explore too many of the words from the reading that we were going to do, but I think this was even more productive. We had great chat. Thank you guys for being here. And thank you for such thoughtful responses and questions. I love classes like this where you guys kind of lead the lesson. You give wonderful thoughts and ideas to branch off of and learn from. So thank you. Please check out those videos of Sean's on coherence and cohesion with your sentences. Also, please sign up. Make sure you become a subscriber. Like that's important to me because we can give you more. We can give you thoughtful feedback. We can give you edits and corrections, video feedback. You can get a certificate that might help you in your job or applying to schools. So we can do more if you sign up at just the $5 per month for the class. Sign up for all the classes. They're great teachers. Sean, Kareem, Neil, myself. This is the cheapest college membership you're ever going to find, right? 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks a month and you get 4 high quality English teachers. You're never going to find a deal better than that. I guarantee it. So sign up, please. I'm going to post this in the chat. That way we can give you even more. You guys are great. We are nothing without you. A teacher is nothing without their students. So we really appreciate you guys showing up every week. We're going to be back with this class here is going to be back next week with some really cool stuff, I hope. I think I'm going to try out a brand new lesson that I've never taught before. So I want to make sure it's done. So I'm not going to promise 100%, but there's a high probability, high chance that you'll get a brand new lesson next week. So look forward to it. Come back, bring a friend. Hi to all our first-time students that were in the chat today. Thank you for contributing. If you're watching this later, you still have time to sign up. Just go to those links. Once again, my email address, joshua.live@smartenglish.com. Zach can sign you up, zach@smartenglish.com. Or, again, here's the live page, smartenglish.com/live/live. Okay, thank you guys again. If there's no other questions, French Leo, I will. I appreciate the advice. Yeah, everybody, bye-bye. Stay tuned. Thumbs up from French Leo and from me. You guys are great. I'll miss you until I get to see you again next week. So thanks again for a good class. You guys are wonderful. Bye-bye. We'll see you later.